Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, TheRumpledOne, coming to you on Tuesday, November the 7th. The year's 2023. Let's talk trading. Trading is trust with Walmal. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine. And just a friendly reminder, have your risk management in place so you do not lose more than you're willing to lose on any one single trade. And, fellow traders, when you think about it, if you don't have your risk management in place, then how can you really have any trust in what you're doing when you come, especially in trading? So yesterday I read this article that talked about how, about trust. And so I thought maybe Walmal and I would discuss it with you. Somebody asked me, old buddy of mine, Chip, shout out to you, if I was still trading the buy zone. And because I've been doing the buy zone since around 2000 what, 4 or 5? I'd have to go back and look it up. But, it's basically statistics, and it's still working. It's nothing fancy, but, price has to move away from the open price of the day. It's going to, go above the open and or go below the open. So you just have to be on the right side. And it's just one of those things. Yeah, I can trade that. And it doesn't matter what I'm trading, whether I'm trading, the pound dollar, if I'm trading stocks or whatever. It just works. You have to run the numbers to know where to place the horizontal lines. But or it's just like this double O trade right here. We're sitting at 123 double O. Back in the day, Airball and I, every day we'd be on not PayPal, what was it, Pal Talk. And back when I had the 2% club, and we would just wait for the psychologicals to trade. But it all goes back to we trusted the system. And it was just that simple. It was like there's just no doubt in our minds that, this system, so long as we trade it and stay faithful, and don't break the rules, don't get too greedy, don't rush to trade, it'll pay off. What say you, Walmal?
Well, just to take it one step back first, and that is definition of trust. And I looked it up on Webster's here, and it says a confident expectation of something to happen. And that's really what trust comes down to. You have a very, very good, confident expectation of some type of outcome. And that's what we're looking for with trading. And we need to be confident of an expectation. And the only way you can be confident of it is to go and have a plan on how you're going to do it. You just talked about the buy zone. You can't just go and say, okay, it opened at, 95. Okay, I'm going short. I'm going long. I'm just going to go and do that willy-nilly. That doesn't build a healthy trust, because you don't have a plan in place. So I think the first part about trusting what you're doing is you need to have a plan. What is your method for getting into it? What is your method for getting out of it? What is your method for going and protecting your account? What is your method for going and even protecting your own trust? You have to have all those different pieces in place. You can't just randomly jump into things, because when you randomly jump into things, well, you're going to do random things. It's just random gets randomness, I guess.
You're going to get random outcomes. That's what's going to happen.
Exactly. And you can even have a bad system, but when I say a bad system, you can even have a bad method, but have a good system and make money. You can have, a great method, and a bad system, and you will lose money. And usually when I say a bad system, what I mean is that it's something that's just, who knows what you're going to do? It's sort of like to go with, it's type of thing when you get to the double O, right? and you're going to go and trade it one way or the other. You can make a lot of money trading off of those psychological numbers. But you better have a system around how you're going to do it. Because let's face it, when it gets to the double O, if you got a 50% chance it's going to go higher, and you got a 50% chance it's going to go lower. You don't know which way it's going to go. You have no clue. So what do? Well, what you have to do is you have to go and become a chartist, as
Well,
they say.
I don't know if you can even put a probability on which way it's going to go.
I'm using the term loosely in the
Okay.
sense of meaning the idea. I don't know which way it's going. It's sort of like I had an uncle. He had a gambling problem, and he would literally bet you which direction a fly would fly off a door handle. I mean, you don't know which way it's going to go. But here's the thing, he had a gambling problem, but he also made a lot of money with his gambling problem. He was never in want of anything. Why? Because he had a system in place. Because what he could do was he could sit there and watch and, using quote unquote money management skills that he had, he could go and sit there and say, the person he was betting against, he could bluff them. Oh, the fly hasn't moved yet. Maybe you ought to go and jump out. I'll tell you what I'll do is, if you give me half the money that I'm going to win, we can just get out right now. I mean, he'd bluff people into getting out of bets, and he'd win that way. Why? He had a system in place. It's just the way he was. He was an interesting fellow. But he was a street guy, and he made a lot of money doing it. He was a street guy. Meanwhile, he had a house up in Great Neck, which is a very wealthy area of Long Island. What would today be probably a $1 or $2 million house, but but did that by making bets out on the street with people. But that's another story. But I'm bringing it back to trading. The thing is, you got to go and have trust in what you're doing. So what goes and builds that trust? You got to go and constantly be doing it. You need to go and understand the instrument that you're playing with, or gambling with, or betting with, or however you want to go and say it. And what you got to do is you got to understand. Okay, there are times when I get into a trade and it goes against me. In fact, TRO, you saw me do this earlier when we first got on the phone this morning. In fact, I'll just go and measure it. The trade I got in at the double O, expecting it to go down, and it actually ran 7 pips against me. I normally never let a trade go that far against me. But why did I do that? Well, it's because I was looking at the charts. I was paying attention to the charts. I noticed that about 06, 07, up in that area on the 1 minute chart, it kept on rejecting that. So my idea was, okay, as long as it doesn't go and break that area, then I'm going to probably be okay. And then what happened was, just like true to form, we've been doing for well over an hour at this point in time. Put in a nice little flip-flop box up there. I went in with a second trade at that point, and I wound up walking away with, 5 pips, 6 pips, or something like that, because I got out a little bit more than break even on the first trade, and I picked up a big trade off the top side. Now, some people say, well, you should have just waited for the top. Yeah, you're right, I should have, but that's not the trade I took. I was taking a flip-flop box at the double O, and that was a legitimate trade for me to take. It's in my playbook. So I took the trade. And I had confidence in what I was doing because I knew where I was going to get in. I knew where I was going to get out. And because I knew those things, I didn't have a problem. And so I could go and do it again and again and again. And that's what we have to do as traders. We have to go and have that trust because we're paying attention to what the market's doing. And paying attention to is our method working better today or worse today? I mean, there are days when flip-flop boxes, they just churn, and it's just no other way to put it. And what I mean by they churn is that you go in, they'll go up, go in your direction, maybe a pip or so, maybe not even a pip, maybe it only covers up to where your commission is, turn around and go against you, and it just does it over and over again to you. There are days like that. That's part of trading. So what do you do? Well, you have to trust the system because the system is more than the method. The system is the method, meaning how I get into a trade. It's also how I get out of a trade, and it's also my money management. And that's where the trust comes in because at the end of the day, I don't have a blown account. I may have a losing day. I mean, There are days I have losing days. Everybody has losing days. But at the same time, I'm not going to blow my account up because I put enough barriers in there. And as long as I have the discipline to follow my rules, I should be okay.
Yeah, it's funny because I think I don't remember when, but I do believe we talked about confidence, and it's funny. I guess it's a pretty big intersection, trust and confidence, because confidence usually comes from experience.
True. Yes, true. And I would agree with that 100%. It's what happens is I think you get trust from confidence. What do I mean by that? As you observe things and you're able to replicate things, your confidence builds in a particular method or particular whatever. And then as that builds up, then you can go and develop trust in it. And then what you have to do is have the discipline to employ that trust, meaning keep that trust and not allow yourself to deviate from it. Because most traders, when they get into trouble, it's it's a money management issue more times than not. But they have never gone and built a trust in the system because they don't have the confidence in the system because they haven't built it up yet. They haven't done enough observation, or they haven't gone and okay, this is what seems to happen here. What am I going to do to protect myself? How do I go and protect my account? How do I protect myself and make sure that I'm doing things correctly?
Yeah, well, because I'm thinking about this, and one of the things when we talk about trust, a lot of times it has to do with another person, and I always say you either give trust or you make people earn trust, and to me, it's easier to give trust and give 100% trust. That way, the other person they either keep your trust or they break it. And once they break it, it's done. But if you
Right.
make somebody earn the trust, then to me, that's like too much bookkeeping, too much scorekeeping, you know? So
Yeah.
it's like if
And
you,
there, and
go ahead.
yeah, and I was just going to go and add to what you said. Now there are some people who do that, and how do they do it? They go into all this, back testing and everything else to go and earn the trust in a particular method. The problem with that is that, as you know as well as I do that, back testing really doesn't work because it's not real environment. Fine, the numbers may be the same, but the problem is you don't know on any particular candle, you don't know what it actually did on that candle. Let's say you got a six pip 1 minute candle. Okay, that's great. If my stop loss is 3 pips, I may have gotten a profit here. I may not have gotten a profit here. I don't know what I got here. So that's why back testing doesn't work. Now, you want to go and test something. The only way I know of testing something that really truly works in trading anyway is forward testing. But anyway, sorry for interrupting
Oh,
you.
no, no, that's okay. That's okay. No, I'm
Yeah, but
just,
it's go ahead.
I was saying I'm just looking at this and I'm kicking myself making a video where it should have been short at that last double low because I was
Yeah,
thinking, looking at the highs, it's like the highs seem to be lower or horizontal, and it's like this is either going up to 23.25 or down to 22.75, and I'm thinking, looking at the EMA multimeter, I think this sucker's going down.
yeah, yeah. I think what happened today was that um, it ran down. We haven't gotten to the low of the day yet, but it ran down and it came back up and tested the midpoint of today's candle, and it's come off that midpoint of today's candle, what the future midpoint of today's candle, better way of saying that. And so now it's running back to the other side. So right now we're sitting just below the midpoints from Friday's big candle. So we're in a testing area right here. And so if it breaks this area, it could very, very well go down to that return bar on Friday's daily candle.
And you know what,
Almost six.
Walmal?
So
The
go ahead.
fastest
Hi.
15 minutes in trading's just about over. So, fellow traders, let us know whether or not you really trust the system, because it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.